From Numerica Veterans Arena in Spokane, it is the 509 Classic. Tonight, the Washington State Cougars and Eastern Washington Eagles meet in the Lilac City and do battle here in front of a mixed crowd of Coug and Eag fans. Hi everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Alongside my broadcast partner Stephen Madison, I'm Austin Getz. Stephen, you talk about these two teams. They both admit they've been off to slow starts this season, but a chance for a win over a regional rival towards the end of non-conference play can really give you a spark.
Yeah, the key word is end of non-conference. This is a good time to build momentum into conference play, and getting one here tonight is important.
Absolutely. You talk about these two teams after the games played tonight. Washington State with just one non-conference game remaining. That'll be Saturday in Pullman against Mercer, while Eastern Washington will have to hit the road for a non-conference trip to Utah and BYU. Get you your starting lineups tonight between these two teams as we're getting ready to go. You see there for Washington State, Tomas Throsterson, Jerome Morton, Emily Yalaho, Rahard Vavers, and N.D. Okafor. For the Eastern Washington Eagles, Isaiah Moses, Stratton Rogers, JoJo Anderson, Kyrie Huey, and Emmett Marquardt. We are ready to go here, just moments away in Spokane. You talk about these two teams, Stephen. Both of them, whether it be injury concerns or just trying to feel some things out, have ran multiple lineups this year. Tonight, this is Washington State's 6th different starting lineup, only the 3rd for Eastern. What do you think these two coaches are still looking for as they tweak things, rotations, put some guys in the starting lineup, don't have them there the next night? What are these coaches looking for?
Yeah, Washington State only one game left in non-conference after this. Eastern has 2, so they're still trying to feel that out a little bit before you get to conference play where you start to nail in and get your lineups locked in. And so trying to see what players can provide big lifts for each team.
Washington State is coming off of a loss at USC last Sunday. A good effort, but the Cougs defeated 68-61 by the Trojans. Meanwhile, Eastern Washington coming off just their first home loss of the season. On Friday, they fell to Cal Baptist 88-83. Like we mentioned it, and we don't have to belabor the point, the records don't jump off the page for these two teams, Stephen, but it's a rivalry matchup on a neutral site, but close to both these two teams' home bases, so you got to think there's a lot of energy.
Yeah, you talk about probably an hour apart from each other. There's a lot of energy here in the Spokane Arena. But the big thing is you look at both teams' records, there's a lot of close games that they're playing, and both teams have been in a lot of battles and they're battle tested. So I think we're going to have a really good one here tonight. We're going to see a lot of offense as well.
You'll see a lot of scoring. You have 2 prolific scorers, one in the starting lineup, one that'll come off the bench. For Eastern Washington, Isaiah Moses has been absolutely outstanding. He will start for the Eags. 19 points per game to lead Eastern, while Washington State will bring the freshman Ace Glass off the bench, who's better than 15 points per game, leads the Cougs.
Yeah, that puts him in, the realm of one of the top freshman scorers in the country. Really good player Ace Glass is. And then, as you mentioned, Isaiah Moses, such a prolific scorer, 43% from the three-point line. He can really shoot it.
And as we get ready to start this thing off, we, of course, look at the two head coaches, Dan Munson for the Eastern Washington Eagles, and the former Eastern turned Washington State head coach David Riley on the other bench. We are ready to go here in the Spokane Arena for the 509 Classic. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Austin Getz, Stephen Madison will have you for this one, as it'll be Washington State in their Crimson Road uniforms, Eastern Washington in the white home unis. And it is the Eags who win the tip, and off we go. JoJo Anderson, Spokane native, bringing the ball up the floor for Eastern Washington. There's Moses, the pass down low. Huey up strong, can't get it to go. Stratton Rogers had a chance for the offensive rebound. Then it's a bit of a miscommunication as the Cougs tried to save that one from going out of bounds. It'll actually go off of them and stay with the Eags.
And I like the early offense there from Eastern Washington, getting a little bit of dribble handoffs into some flare screens, making Washington State move on the defensive end. That's something they're going to have to do all night long versus WSU defense.
They did reset the shot clock, 20 seconds. Now here's Moses. Huey through his hands. Emily Yalaho comes away with it for Washington State. Skips it over. Vavers now back. Yalaho lines up the 3 on the way, and it's good.
And I'll tell you this, Austin, that's someone you do not want to leave open from the outside. 44% on the season, can really shoot it, takes good open shots, but shoots it at such a good clip.
Averages just under 10 points per game, the transfer from Texas Tech. Huey to a cutting Rogers. He'll turn away. It's Anderson in the corner. 10 on the shot clock for Eastern. Rogers goes up hard. Contact, no call. Here come the Cougs. Favors, just over a minute gone in this one. Yalaho, who has the three for the Cougs. Skip pass, Jerome Morton. As they work it around the arc. Favors catching fire off the mark. Rebound by Eastern. Three on the way from Emmett Marquardt is off the mark. And Tomas Throsterson comes away with it for Washington State. Cold start from the field for Eastern. Andy Okafor battling for positioning on the inside. Now has the ball in his hand, trying to back down Huey. Kicks it out. Morton thought about the three. Goes over to Favors. 8 on the shot clock for the Cougs. Yalaho, guarded by Anderson, into the corner. Throsterson off the mark. Tipped, Anderson running the break for Eastern. Goes into his man, blocked away by Okafor. And out of bounds, it'll stay with Eastern Washington. Andy Okafor, Stephen, really the big shot blocking threat for the Cougs, coming off a year last year where he was 4th in the West Coast Conference in blocks per game.
I mean, you can see it, the size, the physicality, the athletic ability, but it's also the timing. We can see here on the replay, JoJo Anderson does a good job of body control, but Andy Okafor coming over the top of his own defender there and just showing you that great timing on that block shot.
Anderson, the transfer from Idaho, as here's Isaiah, Moses, spins one way, then another, tries to feed it into the middle, ball tipped away. Huey kicks it back out. 5 on the shot clock now for Moses, guarded by Tomas, pulls up at the free throw line, that's off the mark. And it's the Cougs who again keep the goose egg on the board for now for Eastern Washington. Yalaho against the smaller Anderson, kicks it into the middle. Okafor picks up his dribbles, got to get rid of it. Inside, Okafor with the slam.
And just a really good job there, sealing, holding off the defender on his back, and if there's no help side, that over the top's going to be there all night, and he's showing you a little bit of that athleticism he's got.
5-0, the early lead for Washington State as we're 3 minutes into this 5:09 Classic. Inside, Kyrie Huey goes up, and a tough basket with the left hand.
WSU hasn't allowed anything really easy at the rim, and Kyrie Huey does a good job of body control there, using that left to get it high off the glass.
So Eastern Washington on the board, back to a 1-possession game. 15 on the shot clock. Throsterson inside, Okafor tries to answer, a little short off the front of the iron. Here's Moses. Inside, Huey just goes up like a wide receiver in traffic. Got the ball, can't get the bucket.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of pick and roll early from Eastern Washington. Getting some activity down there, just unable to come up with that one.
Throsterson spins, goes up. Can't get the English off the glass. Eags come away with the board. And now it's Washington State who's a bit cold after hitting their first couple shots. Into the corner, JoJo Anderson for 3. Rebound by Jerome Morton.
We talked about pace early on. Not as good as shooting so far, but we're seeing the pace and the shots go up as you see Jerome shoot one from outside.
Good effort there by Throsterson to keep the ball alive for Washington State after the miss from deep. Yalaho. Morton back to Tomas. 3 on the way. And iron unkind once again. Washington State now 2 of 8 from the field to start. Eastern not much better. Turnover there and a foul committed by JoJo Anderson. The first of the game, that'll take us to our first break. 5-2 Cougs early here. The 5:09 Classic. Glad you're with us here on SWX. Tonight's keys to the game are presented by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Don't miss the ultimate sports experience at Northern Quest with game day grub at Epic Sports Bar. Northern Quest, yes, the best.
And it starts with Washington State. It's the defensive focus. This year, their defense is allowing 36% from the three-point line, 48% from the field. That's something that has to get better, especially moving into conference play. It's just not going to get it done, and the way you're going to get victories is getting that below. For Eastern Washington, it's rebounding. This WSU team has 25 more offensive rebounds than their opponents. So tonight for Eastern, if they want a chance in this game, they're going to have to battle on the boards and not allow any offensive rebounds. They've only allowed one so far, so doing a good job so far in this game.
And those are our Northern Quest keys to the game. We're back to the action here at the Spokane Arena for the 509 Classic, Washington State and Eastern Washington. 5th straight year these two teams have met. And a fun nugget is that David Riley has been the head coach on both benches at parts of this matchup between these two Eastern Washington teams. That was Emmanuel Ugbo missing his first shot, and Ace Glass, the sensational freshman, comes away with one of those offensive rebounds, Steven.
Yeah, doing a good job versus the 2-3 zone rebounding.
Emmett Marquardt might have got a hand on this, but it's another extra possession for the Cougs, but then quickly out of bounds off of Rahard Favors, and the Eags will take over. Out there for the first time for Eastern Washington, Alton Hamilton and also Johnny Radford. And now we have a foul on the inside.
And I know this game's only these schools are only an hour apart, but it's been physical so far here. And you're seeing the teams battle, just unable to come up with any type of buckets to get the offenses rolling.
It's like we were talking about. Like we said, season hasn't gone the way either of these teams would like, but chance to get a lot of confidence if you can beat a team that you share a backyard with. There's a turnover by Eastern Washington, so here are the Cougs on offense. Adria Rodriguez, also in the game for the Cougs, kicks that into the corner. Good ball movement. Ace Glass, high floater is good. The freshman hits the teardrop.
Yeah, and you talked about it right there. Really good ball movement, but then you get in their top leading scorer, Ace Glass's hands, and he shows you why he's such a dynamic freshman with the high floater.
Glass coming off of, as Isaiah Moses can't hit that shot, his lowest point output of the season in the Cougs' last game at USC. Just 3 points. He was 1 of 7 from the field. Emmanuel Ugbo off the window and in for 2. And it's a 9-2 lead for the Cougs.
Yeah, we talked about how it was a cold start for the Cougars. They were getting a lot of good shots around the hoop, just unable to fall. But the last couple possessions now, finding the bucket close in.
Here's Johnny Radford over to Emmett Marquardt. Trying to back down Favors, kicks it out. Radford lines up a 3. Off the mark, hard collision there, and that'll be a jump ball. The possession will favor Washington State. Hope everyone's all right as bodies came together. Looks like everybody's no worse for wear. Here you get a look at the bucket a minute ago from Emmanuel Ugbo, the transfer from Boise State.
And you want to talk about a physical player, Ugbo does a good job with his size and has such good touch. And if you're Eastern Washington, you just can't allow Washington State to seal so close to the hoop because it's going to be dangerous. They're going to get a lot of easy looks if they allow them to do that.
Simon Hildebrandt on the floor for the first time for Washington State tonight. Kyrie Huey returns to the game for Eastern Washington. Tyler Powell also out there for Eastern.
We see a little bit of the changing defense, 2-2-1 press, back into a 2-3 zone for Eastern Washington, trying to mix it up and keep Washington State off balance.
Here's Hildebrandt inside, Ugbo, and he'll draw the foul and go to the free throw line for the first time tonight.
And I just talked about it, Austin. If you see where Ugbo's getting his position, he's able to seal in right at that charge circle. And once you're that deep, you're just in a bad position. If you're on the defensive end, you see it here, he gets to catch deep. You're either going to foul or you're going to allow an easy layup.
Foul goes against Alton Hamilton. His second team foul on Eastern Washington. Ugbo able to hit the first of his 2 foul shots. Been a bit of a cold spell lately for Emmanuel as he's been held to 6 or fewer points the last 5 games he's played. And trying to shake that trend here. He's already got 4 points there as he goes 2 for 2 from the line.
Yeah, someone that started off the season really hot for them, but just has cooled off, has dealt with a little bit of injuries as well, but when he gets out there full playing, he's such a dangerous player.
Under 13 minutes to go here. First half, the 509 Classic, an 11-2 run to open the game for Washington State. Isaiah Moses Almost got that one to go. He'll earn a trip to the free throw line.
And you can see why Moses averages 19 points. He's so shifty, in and out, spin move, able to take the contact. You see here on the replay, take the contact and still get a really good, decent shot off at the rim.
That is the second personal foul already on Adria Rodriguez, so imagine he will be heading to the bench here shortly. But not yet. Moses able to hit the first transfer from UC Riverside. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, when you're shooting 90% from the free throw line, 27 of 30, now 29 of 32, just an unbelievable free throw shooter.
He'll hit his 2 and head to the bench as JoJo Anderson returns. So there you get a look at David Riley. Cougs handling that soft Eastern press. Here's Glass with it. To the elbow for Ugbo. Drives. Picks up his dribble. Left hand bank shot in. And 6 points there for Emmanuel. So he's already matched that total we were talking about, Steven. So maybe the cold spell might be over for Ugbo.
Yeah, really good job from Washington State. The 2-3 zone, you get the ball in the high post to a player that can score it, and he's going to make good things happen.
Bit of a rugby scrum near the end. That's going to go out of bounds off of Eastern Washington. It'll be Washington State basketball when we return. 13-4, the Cougs out in front early here in the 509 Classic as they take on Eastern Washington here in the Lilac City. College basketball on SWX is presented in part by Serve Pro of Spokane County. If your home or business is ever damaged by fire, water, or an unexpected incident, trust the pros at Serve Pro of Spokane County to make like it never even happened, happen. Back here for the 509 Classic. Good representation of both the Cougar and Eastern fan bases, as it is an early 13-4 lead for Washington State. Steven, 1 for 10 start from the field for Eastern Washington. Are you at least liking the looks that they're getting, or what's?
Yeah, they've been able to get some looks, but they have 4 turnovers as well. But, you know, the key to the game for WSU was defensive focus, and they're bringing it here early on with being more physical than Eastern early on, and I think that's what's making these shots difficult and why we're seeing 1 for 10 from the Eagles.
Manuel Ugbo goes into his man, draws the foul, and go back to the free throw line. It's been a welcome sight for Cougar fans and also David Riley to see Emmanuel Ugbo come out, be aggressive early, and be effective early, Stevenson.
Yeah, but you see the skill there in the replay. He does a good job of getting off 2 feet, selling the shot fake, getting the defense in the air, because the last two times we've seen him in the paint, he's just gone through and used his strength. This time using some finesse there, shot fake, getting the defense off balance.
Foul was on Kyrie Huey, his first. There you see David Riley talking things over with his assistant coach, Pedro Garcia Rosado. Split the free throws there for Ugbo, giving him 7 points early on. Adria Rodriguez to the bench for the Cougs, and Jerome Morton back on the floor. Now you see Washington State maybe a little bit of pressure in the backcourt, Steven.
Yeah, sending a little bit of man-to-man full court, trying to keep Eastern off balance as well.
Jerome Morton pestering JoJo Anderson. Inside, drive, shot off the mark. And Eastern fights for another chance. Here's Hamilton, tries to go into his man, now picks up his dribble, goes around with the right hand, can't get that one to go. Now Tyler Powell had it for a moment, out of bounds off of Washington State. It'll be Eastern ball under the basket.
Yeah, but the reason Eastern was able to get that possession back was just the continuous hustle so far we're seeing from the Eagles. I know it hasn't been good offensively, but you got to keep that mentality and be forceful on the offensive glass.
Into Hamilton, now here's Tyler Powell with it. Anderson into the corner, three on the way. That one's off the mark from Johnny Radford. Here come the Cougs. Eastern Washington's shooting woes continue. 1 of 13 from the floor. Ugbo lines up the triple and knocks it down. Give him 10 early points.
And it's one of those things, once you get a couple layups, get to the free throw line, you start to get that rhythm back. And Ugbo shows you he's not just an inside player, he can knock it down from the outside as well.
Inside, Huey, outside. Radford missed everything that time, as he's missed all 3 of the shots he's taken. 17-4 the lead for Washington State. And now an offensive foul. They'll get Simon Hildebrandt for a moving screen. That's the 3rd team foul on the Cougs. Eastern Washington also with 3. With about 10.5 minutes to go, you get another look, Steven, at Manuel Ugbo.
Yeah, a little jab step, look off, gets the defender to move away, gives him some space. But, you know, the Cougs have done a really good job, 12 points off the bench.
Ooh, Moses, nice move. Good recovery by Morton, but Moses dumps it inside, and Tyler Powell finally snaps the drought for Eastern Washington.
Yeah, and the Eagles have had some nice drop-offs, just unable to convert them, but a good job from Moses there. He has his eyes up, even though he's making a few moves there to find the cutter.
Eastern had missed their previous 8 shots before that make. Inside, Andy Okafor back on the floor for the Cougars and gets the friendly roll over the front of the rim. It's a 19-6 advantage for Washington State here in the 509 Classic. Hamilton turned away. Skip pass handled by Moses. Moses spins, passes it out. JoJo Anderson thought about a 3, instead takes the 2 and knocks it down.
And that's one of those ones. I thought he had the initial 3-point look there, but does a good job of getting off the dribble, keeping his balance, and hits a tough contested 17-footer.
Hildebrandt on the inside, kicks it out. Morton creates space. Lefty 3 on the way is good.
I mean, what a quick first step there from Morton. He put the brakes on quickly and hits that step back and left Moses in the dust.
And that will be out of bounds off of Washington State. And so it'll be Eastern Washington basketball here. Cougs playing good defense, but it's the offense we're talking about early.
Yeah, and you saw that quick step, hits the between the legs, puts the brakes on and steps back. But David Riley and his crew over there looking to potentially appeal that out of bounds call.
Don't get it. Moses, turnaround jumper, won't go. Okafor had it for a moment. It rolls off of his leg, though, and goes out of bounds. Tough break there for the Cougs, as that'll be Eastern ball once again. Fresh bodies on the floor for the Eags. Stratton Rogers returning. Emmett Marquardt as well.
And if you're Eastern Washington, you've got to continue to have player movement and ball movement. You can't get too stale and just stick to one side and do ball screens, because this WSU defense is really focused right now and not allowing anything easy around the rim.
Eastern Washington just 2 of their last 11. Here's Moses. Rogers. Anderson looks at the 3 and rattles it home. And JoJo Anderson back in his hometown.
And I really like the ball movement there, Austin. They do a good job of getting the ball moved side to side, and JoJo is feeling it after that. You know, he hits that 2-pointer, now getting one from the outside.
And that'll be a near turnover. Jerome Morton able to toe tap on the Washington State side of the center stripe. Parker Garrett's into the game for the first time for Washington State. Goes inside to Okafor. And ND goes up with the right hand. Boy, is he good. He doesn't even have to get a look at the rim, but he's able to, with that soft touch, Steven.
Yeah, and it starts with the catch, though. That was a low pass. He does a good job of getting it. Doesn't really know where he is on the court, but he uses that athleticism and gets up over the top with the hook.
He's going for the back cut, tipped out of bounds. Washington State in front 24-11 here. The 509 Classic from the Numerica Veterans Arena. College basketball on SWX is sponsored in part by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Don't miss the ultimate sports experience at Northern Quest with game day grub at Epic Sports Bar. Northern Quest, yes, the best. Here at the Spokane Arena, we're under the 8-minute media timeout, and Washington State has held Eastern Washington to just 11 points, 4 of 8 shooting from the field, and forced the Eagles into 4 turnovers. Austin Getz, Stephen Madison joining you. Stephen, what's impressed you most about the way that WSU is playing defense?
It's just the physicality and the attention. They're really locked in on the ball screens that Eastern Washington's running, having a lot of help side, but then also recovering and doing a good job on closeouts. It's just been really impressive, and I know that's something David Riley's been looking for in this team because he knows they have it, because the offense is there. It's about the defensive end, though.
Isaiah Moses held scoreless so far and will remain that way at least for this possession as he's off the mark. Cougs trying to push the pace. Here's Morton. Back to Parker Garrett, who walks into a 3 and knocks it down.
Good job from Morton there, having his eyes up. 2 Eastern Washington Eagles fall back and leaves Garrett's wide open, and he can knock it down if he's open.
And now Andy Okafor guarding the perimeter with the steal. And a foul committed afterwards by Isaiah Moses. Not used to seeing many 7-footers out there on the arc, Stephen, poking the ball loose like that.
Yeah, Andy Okafor showing some game today. He's done a good job around the hoop scoring, but getting out in that ball screen situation, using his hands, being active, showing you he can move for a big fella.
Manuel Ugbo back for the Cougs as Okafor takes a seat. That now the 5th turnover by Eastern Washington. Here's Rahard Favors. That one off the mark. The Cougs have started still counting that miss, though. 4 of 10 from 3 as a team as they lead 27-11 here with 7 minutes remaining in the first half. JoJo Anderson has had a good start to this game. Kicks it out. Gets it back. Down low, Kyrie Huey through the trees. He's able to get that one to go.
Good deep position there from Kyrie Huey. He's done some good things around the rim for Eastern. Got to continue to find him when he gets that position.
Ace Glass lines up a triple and knocks it down. The freshman. Quickly to the other end, though, it's Stratton Rogers goes up, and now end-to-end action we have. 30-15.
And this is what we expected to see, some up and down basketball. Starting to see some points fall for both these sides.
Ugbo into the corner. That's Morton with it. Now Ugbo lines up his second attempt from three. That one off the mark. Here's Isaiah Moses. Over to Marquardt. Inside, Huey with the two-hand slam.
Yeah, Huey's done just a really good job of sealing, getting position, and it makes it a lot easier because you're able to just to catch it, drop step, and hammer one home.
Each trying to string together a few buckets. They're now within 13, but Ugbo quickly answers, and he's got 12.
And it's been the issue with the 2-3 zone from Eastern Washington is WSU's been able to get the ball right to the middle of the key, and it's just been dangerous because Ugbo's been able to take it off the dribble and score at will.
Here's Moses. He'll try from three and knocks it down to get him on the score sheet. Missed his first 4 shots, but connects on his first 3-point attempt. Here's Ace Glass. Now over to Rahard Vavers and Jerome Morton with just over 5 minutes remaining first half here in Spokane. JoJo Anderson with the steal, trying to go end-to-end and lays it up. And a timeout quickly taken by Dan Munson, encouraged by his team showing right now.
A really good job there from JoJo Anderson. He takes a slow step, uses his body to create the separation on the size of Favors, and is able to finish it. You can see here, does a good job jumping the lane there of Morton, stealing it, then slow step, uses his body off arm, creates the separation and gets the layup.
Eagles trending in the right direction now. They've cut the lead down to 10, and they've hit their last 5 from the field. Steven, sometimes when you're getting good looks on offense, but they're just not falling, it's tempting to go away from what's been working. But the Eagles so far, obviously that bucket helps as you get the steal on one end, but just being able to stay composed.
Yeah, you got to stay composed. And even if the offense isn't going well, it's got to be because you got to get back on defense and still play defense. And that's what the Eagles have done here the last few possessions is they've been feisty on the defensive end, getting in those lanes. And that's something that you got to do, especially in the 2-3 zone, is be active with your hands.
Out of the timeout taken by Eastern Washington. Here come the Cougars on offense. Adria Rodriguez back in the game for the Cougs, as is Emily Yalaho. Here's Vavers. Inside, and now a foul on the ground here.
And I know Hamilton is battling with N.D. Okafor. I mean, there's just a lot of size there with N.D. Okafor, and you got to somehow do your work early with him and don't allow him to get such good position early.
That is the second personal foul on Alton Hamilton, the 4th. 3 on the way. Off the mark, Yalaho had it for a moment, goes out of bounds. It'll stay with the Cougars. You talk about the rebounding battle. Washington State with a slight edge right now by just 1. Elijah Thomas making his debut tonight in this contest. Cougars by 10 here, under 5 minutes to go in the first half. Rodriguez inside, Okafor goes up, and behind the play, Emmett Marquardt is down and grabbing his left knee.
And it looked like there was some contact with Rodriguez there coming off that ball screen. Marquardt stepped out. Just hoping it's just a knee-to-knee. Those ones they feel terrible. Hopefully that's all it is.
For the redshirt sophomore from Seattle, Washington. Longest tenured Eag, as he's been here all 3 years counting his redshirt year. As you see Dan Munson coming out to talk to his 6'6" guard. And he's to his feet with a round of applause from the folks in attendance here tonight.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones, it looks like the way that he's reacting that it is a knee-to-knee, hopefully nothing more, and it looks like it just got...
Came down awkwardly.
Yeah, it came down awkwardly. the good thing was he was able to get up kind of by himself and put a little bit of pressure on it. So hopefully nothing too serious. Someone that they would like to have out there for sure.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on it, see if he's able to return to this game. Into the corner for Eastern Washington. Now it's back to Isaiah Moses. Steps into a three, partially tipped. Adria Rodriguez with some great perimeter defense. Shot clock did not reset here. It's down to 5 seconds. Moses to Thomas in the corner. That one's off the mark, and Rodriguez with the rebound. 4 minutes to go here in the first half. Ace Glass gets his defender in the air, goes up with the soft touch again.
In Austin, it's the calm composure for a freshman like that to make those type of moves. He looks one guy off, takes a sidestep, and hits a floater.
Oh, Andy Okafor erases that shot, but a foul came on the ground beforehand. Tell you about it when we come back. A 36-22 lead for Washington State here at the 509 Classic at the Numerica Veterans Arena. Welcome back. College basketball on SWX is brought to you in part by Findlay Downtown Toyota, Spokane's #1 Toyota dealer. Just under 4 minutes to go before halftime in this one. Washington State leading this 509 Classic 36-22. This is when the famous phrase, basketball is a game of runs, comes out, because if you're Washington State, a run here heading into halftime, you feel really comfortable. If you're Eastern Washington, a run, and you're not feeling so bad even if you're trailing.
Yeah, you got to set yourself up good right now leading into the second half. But what Eastern Washington has to do on the defensive end is WCU's got half of their points in the paint, and they've been able to control the paint. And that's something that's been working very well for them, because then it ends up opening the outside shooting as well for them.
Isaiah Moses, a rare miss from the free throw line. The better than 90% free throw shooter, not able to hit his first. Just before the break, the foul, meanwhile, was on Adria Rodriguez, his third personal. As Moses hits the second one, brings it back to a 13-point game. Here comes Washington State. Double team, Jerome Morton able to navigate his way out of it. Tomas Throsterson back out there, and a foul on the inside on Kyrie Huey, which will be his second and the 6th on Eastern Washington, so they are out of fouls to give.
You can see what happens when Eastern goes to man-to-man. WCU tries to run some type of action and then set up for a post-up.
Tomas drives, spins into the lane, kicks it out to Yalaho. Trying to back down the smaller Moses. Spins, baseline pass, and Okafor! Look out below!
Yeah, you got to watch out when he's ready to load up for a dunk, but Yalaho does a good job of finding it, seeing the double team coming from the baseline side. Throws a nice wraparound along the baseline, and Andy Okafor has been really good here tonight for the Washington State.
Yes, he has. 10 points now after that slam. Stratton Rogers at the free throw line, tries to go into Yalaho, throws it up, and it is a foul on Yalaho. his first personal, and that will be the 15th foul on the Cougars.
And I like the aggressive there from Rogers. You get Laho off balance, but what a great pass here. It just hammers it home. No help side, no one there for Eastern. And like we said, ND Okafor is looking good so far.
They do rule this a shooting foul, so that'll put Stratton Rogers, the graduate transfer from Eagle, Idaho, on the line. Turned in a stellar 4-year career at College of Idaho, including a national championship. And he's able to hit his first.
Yeah, you're talking about one of the better programs College of Idaho is. You can see the type of players they're able to develop, and now with the transfers the way it is nowadays, getting the opportunity to make it to the Division I levels is Rogers, and putting in 2 free throws there.
Dan Munson didn't want just one former Yote, he wanted another, as he's got Johnny Radford, another transfer from College of Idaho. Great play by Elijah Thomas for the block there on Jerome Morton. Eastern Washington trying to put together a few possessions here as they trail by 13 late in the first half. Inside, Rogers hesitates for a moment, and he's off the mark here as Ace Glass comes away with the rebound. Glass, that's a deep 3. Oh, Ace Glass!
Just reading the ball screen there as Ace Glass does a good job. Defender goes underneath, he's going to step back and shoot it almost every time, showing you that composure that he has.
Came in shooting just north of 38% from 3 as Isaiah Moses with some fancy footwork in a pull-up J.
I don't know if the court's slippery, is that just Moses' ball handling. It's tough to stay in front of him.
2 minutes to go, Cougs by 14. Throsterson inside Okafor, and they'll get him for an offensive foul. And that'll be a turnover as ND Okafor whistled for his first personal foul.
And the referees have been letting a lot of physicality go in the paint there. And Okafor is battling with Powell. Just a little too much there as he tried to move Powell with 2 hands.
Here's JoJo Anderson. Kicks it out, Elijah Thomas. Goes back out for the Eags to reset. Moses on the arc, guarded by Ugbo out there. Now here's Tyler Powell, 7 on the shot clock for Eastern, down to 5. Here's Moses, another deep 3. Oh, that one was halfway down but rattled out. Loose ball, Parker Garretts comes down with it. The Cougs have numbers. Garretts inside, Ugbo goes up and scores it.
Yeah, you go from one end, Moses gets that in and out from about 30 feet out, but good job from Garretts keeping his eyes up to drop it off to Ugbo in that transition play there.
Minute 10 remaining in the first half. It's been an excellent half for Washington State. Rogers now to Moses. Moses at the elbow, kicks it out. Powell thought about the 3. 5 on the shot clock, has to take it. Off the mark, tips straight up in the air, and Garretts comes away with the rebound. Cougs have enough time here for a 2-for-1. Ugbo. Inside, Throsterson now to Okafor. Okafor goes and corrals the ball down low. 15 on the shot clock. Defense helps. This is tipped and it's taken away. Moses for the Eags. And that's poked from behind on a hustle play by Parker Garretts. Now here's Ace Glass. The lob. And the tip in and 1. Not your typical alley-oop, but the Cougs will take it.
Rogers gets put in a tough position, and Ace Glass does a good job of just drawing the defense in just a little bit, because you don't need too much space for ND Okafor to get up vertical on this one. Does a good job, though, of catching it, taking the contact, and still having the focus to finish.
Okafor not only now with 12 points, but 6 of 7 from the field, as he's putting together one of his best games of the season so far. It's going to be hard to top his season best, which was a career-high 27 points in the Cougars' win over Southern Utah. As his bonus free throw is off the back of the iron. Shot clock is off. Eastern can hold it for the final possession. Looks like that's what they want to do. Down to 10. Isaiah Moses handling the ball here, guarded by Ace Glass. This is good on good, and Moses wins the battle. 5 seconds remaining for the Cougs if they hurry. Stolen by Radford, goes up and tipped in at the buzzer. That should count. It does. Tyler Powell able to corral the miss and put it back home just before the whistle. And that'll bring us to halftime. A lead for Washington State as you get another look here.
Yeah, and you talk about momentum and swings. 2 big plays there for Eastern Washington. Moses able to get to the rim and get an easy bucket, but staying up on that press to finish off the half, good for the Eagles.
It is still, however, a 45-31 lead for Washington State as they put together an excellent first half, led by Emmanuel Ugbo and Andy Okafor and a few others. Take a break and come back with your halftime coverage of the 509 Classic. We're midway through this one, and the Cougs and Butch are happy. Welcome to Halftime on SWX, brought to you by Spokane Colleges and Education Design with life in mind. Halfway through the 509 Classic here at the Numerica Veterans Arena in Spokane. It is a Washington State Cougar lead over the Eastern Washington Eagles. Alongside my broadcast partner, Stephen Madison, I'm Austin Getz. Stephen, what do you see from the Cougs in that one? I feel like it was a lot of, team basketball, but we really have to talk about Emmanuel Ugbo and how good he was in that first 20 minutes. Yeah,
it was the physicality of Emmanuel Ugbo and Andy Okafor. They set the tone for this game, and you will see it here with the physical post play of both of them. And then Ugbo showing you he can step out and knock it down as well from outside.
Yeah, Ugbo 5 of 7 from the field, including 1 of 2 from 3. Okafor 6 of 7 from the field, and just has been outstanding around the rim. And the Cougars have really exploited that zone defense of Eastern Washington. just being able to work that ball down low and give it over to Ugbo and Okafor and just let them feast on the inside. They do have the size advantage, and they've been going towards it.
Yeah, what I liked is they didn't seem rushed. Sometimes when you get into zone, against zone defenses, the ball gets rushed, but they did a good job of staying patient and moving the ball. And you've seen Andy Okafor did a great job of being physical on the defensive end and the offensive end.
Yeah, the Coug defense has also been something worth talking about as they hold the Eags to just 36% from the field shooting in that first half, and also 6 turnovers committed by Eastern Washington. Here you get a look at some of the halftime stats. Rebounding battle pretty close. Cougs with just a small edge, but where you do see the bigger edge, Stephen, those points in the paint you were talking about, and especially off the bench.
Yeah, the points in the paint are impressive. The bench points, unbelievable. There's one stat that's not on there that sticks out to me as well as the assists. 10 assists for WSU, and that's something David Riley, I had a chance to talk to him early in the season, that was a big thing. His teams are always in the top 40 in assists, and that's something they struggled this year. And tonight you're seeing the ball movement and the unselfish play of the Cougars, and that's why they have a 14-point lead here at halftime. 10
assists on 18 made baskets for Washington State. It's got to make David Riley happy. But finishing has been a problem for both of these teams. Obviously, Washington State with an advantage here at halftime, but that doesn't mean we're anywhere towards the end of the action here at the 509 Classic, nor are we towards the end of our halftime coverage. We'll take a break and come back with more here from the Numerica Veterans Arena, the 509 Classic between Eastern Washington and Washington State. Welcome back here, the 509 Classic at halftime. Washington State leading Eastern Washington 45-42. 31. Well, the basketball world lost a pair of legendary coaches this year who both had enormous impacts on basketball in the Pacific Northwest as well as both of these programs, Don Munson and George Raveling. Don Munson passed away on October 1st at the age of 92, and his coaching legacy was felt by many, particularly his son, Eastern Washington head coach Dan Munson. Don enjoyed a 35-year coaching career highlighted by his 5 seasons at the University of Idaho, where he led the Vandals to back-to-back Big Sky titles, as well as the only appearance in the Sweet 16 for the school in 1982. Also had a huge impact coaching high school at Cheney High School and also at Pasco in the Tri-Cities. You get a look there at some of the highlights there of Coach Munson's tenure with the Vandals. George Raveling, meanwhile, passing away on September 1st at the age of 88. His first head coaching job was with the Washington State Cougars from 1972 to 1983. He was the first African-American coach in the Pac-8 at the time, leading the Cougs to 2 NCAA tournament appearances. After WSU, he went on to an enormously decorated career, which included being a member of the coaching staff of 2 U.S. Olympic teams and the induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And just a remarkable figure, not only a basketball coach, but also involved in what it means to be a man outside of coaching, Stephen. And just 2 great men who were great coaches, but the first thing you hear about either of them from people that know them was not about coaching.
Yeah, it was about off-the-court stuff. And I was an Idaho Vandal basketball player, so coming to the Palouse, they were before my time, but obviously Don Munson was someone I heard the name of. You see his name in the rafters, and then George Raveling just right across at WSU. 2 guys that were able to take programs to different levels and put the Palouse on the map in the basketball world, but like you mentioned, so unbelievable off the court.
Absolutely. Legendary figures. We miss them both. Don Munson and George Raveling, 2 titans of basketball coaching and also 2 titans of what it means to be a good man. Welcome back. Getting ready to start the second half here of the 509 Classic. I want to let you know that our halftime coverage was brought to you by Spokane Colleges, an education designed with life in mind. As we pick things up here at the start of the second half, it's a 45-31 Washington State Cougar lead over Eastern Washington. Austin Getz and Stephen Madison joining you. Stephen, we'll go first for the Cougars, who are leading on the scoreboard. What do they need to do? What do you need to see from them to get to the end of this game and hold on to this lead and get the win?
I think it's exactly how they started the game. Had that defensive mindset, super attentive to the ball screen offense at Eastern Washington, and then on the offensive end, work inside out. They did a good job of getting the ball inside early, and that's what opened up some three-point looks. But you got to continue to use the size of ND Okafor early here to get some easy baskets.
And then for Eastern Washington, do you think the end of that half might have been able to provide enough of a spark? The quick basket, steal of the inbound pass, and then a tip in just before the horn.
Yeah, just being aggressive. Eastern Washington's got to be on the defensive end. They got to get more active with their hands, because when they were able to turn over Washington State, they were able to get out and run, and that's where they've been seeing some success, because in the half court, the defense of the Cougs have been able to suffocate them and not allow anything easy.
Cougars were excellent shooting the ball in the first half, 58%, and 6 of 14 from 3. Eastern Washington, the exact opposite story. Obviously, credit a lot of that towards Washington State's defense. As away we go here, the second half of the 509 Classic between the Cougs and Eves. Inside, Alton Hamilton, the fourth. Spins one way, spins another, and lays it in off the glass.
I like that opening possession there from Eastern Washington, doing a good job of getting some offensive movement and then getting the ball inside. Hamilton getting his first bucket there to get, hopefully, him going.
Mid-range jumper, Rahard Vavers, is good to answer, and both teams have connected on their first shots of the second half.
And two guys that didn't score in the first half, starting off the half good for both sides.
Hamilton to Kyrie Huey at the free throw line. Spins and loses the ball on the way up. Might have been blocked out of his hand by ND Okafor. Vavers, catch and shoot three is good.
And you want to talk about a quick trigger. Vavers can get that up very quickly. And like I mentioned, didn't score in the first half, but once you get one falling, he's going to look to get up multiple shots here quickly.
His story has been one to follow. Last year, just had to battle to get on the floor with injuries as Hamilton tries the mid-range J, knocks it down. And since he's been able to be healthy this year, Vavers has been a huge contributor for the Cougs.
I mean, if you look at the size, though, he's got the size, the ability, the length to be such an elite shooter from outside.
And can't get that one to go. And they'll get Jerome Morton for an offensive foul, going for that rebound. That is his first, and the first of the second half. Really only foul troubled, so to speak, is for Washington State's Adria Rodriguez. He had 3 in that first half. A couple of players with 2. As here's a drive, and ND Okafor is going to pick up a foul, as Alton Hamilton has been aggressive here to start the second half, Stephen.
Yeah, it's been the Alton Hamilton show, and I don't mind it. Anytime you have someone that didn't really get going in the first half, it's good to get the ball in his hands early. And he's showing what he can do on the offensive end.
Transfer from LCSC, where he was the Cascade Conference Player of the Year and an NAIA first-team All-American. Is second on Eastern Washington in both points and rebounds per game. He's good for 11 and call it 5.5 as he knocks down the first free throw.
And we talked about how the transfer stuff has changed the game of basketball. Alton Hamilton coming from LCSC, but look at the size, the ability. Makes his way to the Division I and showing you 11 points per game, has been an efficient scorer for this Eagles team.
As he's got all of Eastern Washington's 6 points here in the second half. Tomas Thrasterson kicks it out. Ugbo had an excellent first half for Washington State. Drives in, goes up with the left hand, around the world and down.
Anytime they get a mismatch like that, Ugbo on Moses, he's going to take advantage of it. They got to send a second player quicker because he's just going to destroy them from that 10 to 15-foot range.
Ugbo up to 16 points now as Washington State slowly but surely trying to pull away in this one. The lead is now 15. Here's JoJo Anderson. Backs it out. 5 on the shot clock. Anderson's got to go. Drives inside, goes up, and scores it. JoJo Anderson having a great showing in this one.
Showing that quick burst, sets that move up against the bigger defender as we see Moses poke the ball.
Tips out of bounds, stays with Washington State. Get another look at the bucket from the former Mount Spokane Wildcat.
Yeah, Mount Spokane stand out there. Does a good job of getting his right hand to the middle of the paint.
Thrown deep into the backcourt where Thrasterson comes down with it. Inside, here's Ugbo against Hamilton. That's been a battle to watch. Tomas down to Ugbo. Pass faked, 5 on the shot clock, whips it out, tipped out, and Favors over to Morton. Got to get rid of it, puts it up, and off the back of the iron. Honestly, props to him for even getting that one close as Anderson was right in his hip pocket. Here's Moses out to the arc. Hamilton lines up the 3 off the front iron. And the Cougs trying to run. Here's Andy Okafor. Look out! Oh! That was going to be something if he was able to rock the rim with that one. Instead, it goes out of bounds, and it'll be Eastern Washington basketball.
And I got to give props there to JoJo Anderson, doing a good job of contesting that. That's an easy dunk there for Andy Okafor if Anderson doesn't get in the way.
I love JoJo's game, man. I've been able to see him not only when he was at Mount Spokane, but then at Whitworth, where he started his career, then Idaho last season. He is a fun player to watch. Doesn't care about the size difference, doesn't care about, you know, if he's a starter or coming off the bench. He's always going to give you good minutes. Hamilton's been given some good minutes here, but this time the ball's poked out, and that's a turnover. Thrasterson, and he'll be harangued along the way, and that'll be a foul on Eastern Washington. I believe that one went against Stratton Rogers. That is his second personal.
And I thought Thrasterson had a quiet night, 0 points, but someone that's so versatile. But he's done a good job of taking care of the ball and being that facilitator at his size. And he's got the ability to handle the ball at 6'7", 6'8".
And he'll line up a 3 here and get on the score sheet. And looks like David Riley wanted to call a timeout after that made bucket, and we'll take one as well. 55-39, Washington State in front as Tomas Thrasterson knocks down one from long range. College basketball on SWX is brought to you in part by Titan Truck Equipment, Northwest family owned. Outfit your truck by visiting us in our showroom in Spokane Valley, and follow Titan Truck Equipment on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Timeout taken by David Riley there after Tomas Thrasterson knocks down a 3 to make it a 16-point lead for the Cougars. Why you take a timeout there, Steven? Just, you know, did he think he saw something happening on the defensive end that he wanted to alleviate? What's the reason for the timeout?
Yeah, David Riley seemed really animated coming out of that when he was calling the timeout. I think it was just to keep WSU's focus on the defensive end and stay with that attention that they've had so far in the physicality. Don't let up, even though there has been some fouls called.
Here's JoJo Anderson with it for Eastern Washington. He's just trying to stay in this game, stick around. Stratton Rogers for three. He knocks it down. That'll help.
And WSU's been playing off of Rogers, and that's a good job to stick in his shot there for Stratton Rogers and knock that down. The outside shooting has been extremely cold for Eastern tonight, but that's a big one to maybe get something going from out there.
Eags just 2 of 11 after that make. Here's Ace Glass inside. Emily Yalaho in trouble, kicks it out. Glass drives into the middle, jump stop, gets his defender in the air, off the front of the rim, and the Eags come up with a stop. They can get it down within, I should say, 2:10 if they go for a 3. Instead, this will be a turnover as Stratton Rogers is called for the charge. And that will take us to another break. 55-42 the lead for Washington State. Stratton Rogers knocking down the 3. Halftime on SWX, excuse me, I should say college basketball on SWX is presented in part by your local McDonald's restaurants, proud sponsors of the McDonald's Team of the Week, featured every Friday night at 11 o'clock during nonstop local KHQ and during SWX overtime. Awesome gets Stephen Madison joining you. Stephen, obviously we're not still in halftime. We're here about 5 minutes into the second half, and it's a 55-42 lead for Washington State. Cougs have not been able to land that knockout blow, you know, that 7-0 run that really puts this one out of control for Eastern Washington. But, you know, they still have been kind of dictating things ever since that opening run to start the game.
And you can say the same for Eastern Washington, as we see Yalaho get off 2 feet there and just a really good play. But anytime Eastern Washington strings a couple baskets together, WSU continues to answer, and they've been stuck in that 15 to 13-point range. So if you're Eastern Washington, you got to string together 3 stops and to get back into this game and get it under double figures.
Inside, skip pass, Anderson, now to Stratton Rogers, who's still in there, keep in mind, with 3 fouls. Here's Isaiah Moses. Oh, what a dump-off feed, and Hamilton able to stay strong, even with a shot blocker right in his face, and score it.
Yeah, Moses is just really crafty. He does a good job of having his eyes on the hoop to draw in the 2 defenders, and a sweet drop-off pass there.
Thrasterson over to Yalaho in the corner for 3. Emmanuel Ugbo keeps it alive for Washington State. Inside, back to Yalaho, this time from the block. And foul on the ground And I believe that's going against Stratton Rogers. That would be number 4 on him.
You talk about size for Washington State at multiple positions. You see Alaho here does a good job of getting into the defender, but opportunities for multiple post-up players.
Ace Glass for 3. Off the mark. But another offensive rebound for the Cougars. You mentioned it as one of the keys to this game, Stephen, as there it leads to another basket as Emmanuel Ugbo goes up for the second chance bucket.
And it hasn't been terrible for Eastern Washington on the glass. They've done a good job so far, but anytime you give up, as we see Rogers shoot a 3 there, anytime you start to give up multiple offensive rebounds in 2 possessions, it's going to be trouble.
Ace Glass looking for a back-cutting Ugbo. Instead, just gives it to him at the block extended. Skip pass over to Thrasterson. Drives to the middle and will be whistled for the travel. That'll be a turnover for Washington State. They've kept the turnovers relatively minimum. That's now their 6th. They're winning that margin over Eastern Washington, who has 8.
And both teams on the season do a solid job of taking care of the ball. They're not crazy out of control. But WCU's done a good job so far with only 6 turnovers. You want to keep that number under 12 each game, and that's where you're going to see some success.
13.5 minutes remaining. Here's Isaiah Moses. Now Tyler Powell with it for Eastern Washington as they're working it around the arc. Here's Johnny Radford. Anderson to Tyler Powell in the corner. Eags needed that one, and it just rattled out.
A good look there from Powell. Like you mentioned, as we see Rodriguez turn it over, as we just talked about them doing a good job taking care of the ball.
Adria Rodriguez turns it over, and that'll be just his first turnover of the game. He's been on the sidelines a lot with 3 fouls, so he's the only Cougar out there with 3 fouls as Isaiah Moses goes right at him and scores it. He's up to 12 points quietly. Ace Glass over to Yalaho, and he'll try it from 3 and rattles it home again.
And just miscommunication there from Eastern Washington. A simple pick and pop on the wing. They empty the side out, allows Yalaho to get that open side, and he is just money from downtown.
Alton Hamilton, the 4th, kicks it out. JoJo Anderson goes right back inside to him. Skip pass to a cutting Tyler Powell, goes up strong, can't get it. Had his own miss for a second, goes out of bounds, and will be Washington State basketball.
And a really impressive defensive possession there from Hildebrand, as we see him there on the screen. Does a good job coming over on the help side and staying vertical, as Powell had a runway to jump and get some type of leeway, but Hildebrand did a good job of staying vertical while jumping.
Cougs got to get it in. They do. Here comes Ace Glass up the floor. Now Simon Hildebrand with it. Jerome Morton. He'll drive into the heart of the defense. Kick it out. Yalaho, 10 on the shot clock for the Cougars. Simon Hildebrand battling for position on the inside. Yalaho over to Jerome Morton, and they'll get an offensive foul here, and that will go against Hildebrand. That will bring us to the break. The Cougs starting to pull away in this one, up by 16. Under 12 minutes to go here in the 509 Classic from the Spokane Arena. Welcome back. Let's take a look ahead at the Washington State Cougars' upcoming schedule. As we mentioned, the Cougs round out non-conference play when they host Mercer on Saturday. Then you get into WCC play with starting off against Portland. And remember, Seattle U, part of the WCC this year, as is Washington State for this final year before the new Pac-12 starts. Then their first home slate of WCC games, LMU, and then Oregon State, which is actually back in this building.
Yeah, and you got one game before Christmas, Mercer, and then you got a little bit of break during Christmas time, so you got to come back focused because conference play is right there, and that's where it all counts.
Excited to see Seattle U in the WCC. They're off to a great start. Could make a little bit of noise. We're back to the action here at the Numerica Veterans Arena, 10 seconds on the shot clock for Eastern Washington, who trails by 16. And looking for something to start on offense here. Down to 5 and a quick turnover. Simon Hildebrandt. Morton favors the layup.
And I like what David Riley did coming out of timeout. He switched it into a moving 2-3, 3-2 zone, and it caught Eastern off guard, and that's what led to that breakaway layup for Favors.
Cougs starting to impose their will here in the second half against their rivals from 70 miles away. Alton Hamilton somehow got that to go, and a foul.
What a second half for Alton Hamilton. Does a good job of carving out ground there, but using the rim as protection as he does that reverse layup.
10 points with a free throw coming. Foul goes against Emily Yalaho, his second. Fourth team foul on Washington State as well. As Hamilton with all 10 points coming in the second half. He's 4 of 6. And a chance to once again bring his team to within 15. But Washington State really not at risk of yielding this lead so far. Hamilton not able to convert the three-point play. Jerome Morton brings it up in front of the Cougar bench. Here's Simon Hildebrandt. Morton steps out over to Parker Garretts, who's back in the game for Washington State. 12 on the shot clock here. Favors to Garretts. Inside, tipped away as the Eags read it, and Elijah Thomas was able to poke it out. Now here's Anderson. No good. What a rebound by Tyler Powell. Goes back up. Can't get that one to go. And the lid on the basket for Eastern on that possession. Here's Favors. Kicks it out. Hildebrandt maybe was looking at a three. Now Favors is. That one's off the mark, and an offensive foul here on Andy Okafor. Trying to create space for the offensive rebound. That is the third on ND.
And I don't play basketball anymore, but I just got tired watching Alton Hamilton battle with ND Okafor for a whole possession down there. Comes back on the offensive side, battling for an offensive rebound, and then goes straight back down and gets an offensive foul called because of the effort in the box out. Just a great 3-possession span there for Alton Hamilton.
I bet, even though you don't play anymore, I bet the jumper's still looking good, though.
Yeah, that's one thing as you get older, it tends to get better because you just don't jump as much and you don't get as tired.
Play below the rim now.
Yeah.
As opposed to in the past.
Yeah. Still get up a little bit, but that's if there's no one in the way.
10 minutes to go in this one. As here's Hamilton against Okafor. Gets ND in the air. Tries to go for the skip pass, and Hildebrandt intercepts it. Cougs had numbers for a moment. Morton for 3. That one's off the mark. And another offensive foul. This one's going to go against Parker Garretts.
A good job from Powell there, just boxing out, and Garrett's just a little aggressive, pushing in on that offside rebounding position.
That is now the 6th team foul on the Cougars, so anything from here on out will put the Eags on the line. That is one way you can get back into a game quickly.
Yeah, with the clock stopped, getting to the free throw line. Be ultra aggressive here if you're the Eagles. Try to create some body contact as you're going to the rim.
Isaiah Moses inside. Hamilton goes up and corrals the pass, but can't get past Andy Okafor, who rejects it. Favors to Garretts. Garretts drives baseline and is turned away. And then an interception there by Elijah Thomas, who will go up and slam it home. And the lead down to 14 for Washington State, as Eastern Washington still showing some fight here in the second half. Favors inside, and there a foul on Hamilton. That'll be his third. And the third foul, as you get another look here on Elijah Thomas's play in transition.
Yeah, playing safety right there, just picks the pass and is able to take it coast to coast for the dunk.
And Hamilton goes to the bench for Eastern Washington with 3 fouls. Ace Glass back on the floor for Washington State. Under 9 minutes to go here in the 509 Classic at the Spokane Arena. Glass into traffic, goes up, kisses it off the window, and down for 2 more.
Gets that quick burst, takes the contact, but then slows up and finds himself and is able to find the glass. Really good play there from Ace.
He's got 12 points now. The lead back out to 16 for the Cougs. Moses drops it off. Kyrie Huey, a bit short on that floater.
And that's where I'd like to see Isaiah Moses be a little bit more selfish. Does a good job of creating separation. He's 4 feet away from the hoop.
What a move there by Morton for a second. Almost led to a turnover. The Cougs able to settle things down. And that'll be an offensive foul on Morton. That'll be the 7th. Won't lead to a free throw here, but it does officially have Eastern in the bonus.
And I like what Eastern's doing. They're being physical. They're staying in this game. Have done a good job of not backing down. And the thing they've also done is battled in the paint. We haven't seen as many post touches for the Cougars here in the second half.
Jerome Morton still pleading his case to the referee. He's not going to win that argument.
There's a little bit of selling with it, but when the contact's there, the referees are going to get you.
So 17 fouls now on the Cougars. Eastern Washington, time not on their side, but still better part of 8 minutes to go. Tyler Powell drives, kicks to the corner. 3-pointer on the way is off the mark. And chased down in the corner, goes out of bounds. They say off Washington State, and that will take us to a break as the referees might talk this one over. We'll tell you whose ball it is when we come back here. 66-50, the Cougs in front. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the Eastern Washington Eagles' upcoming schedule. After this game tonight, they round out non-conference play with one heck of a road trip. They got to go to Salt Lake to take on Utah and then BYU. But after that, Big Sky Conference play starts, and it doesn't get much easier, Stephen. At Idaho on January 3rd, we can tell you that that game will be live here on SWX, and then facing the Cats and Grizz as well in that second week.
Yeah, you look at that schedule, that is a daunting task, especially before Christmas. You got to go to Utah, then BYU, 2 programs that are unbelievable. And then you got your opponent in Idaho, not too far away. Very good team in University of Idaho, and then Montana State, Montana. It just continues to get tougher, but it'll show you where the Eastern Washington's at early on in conference play when they play those teams.
Big Sky is going to be a fun conference to watch this year. A lot of talent, a lot of teams that have, you know, hopes of getting to the NCAA tournament. It's a one-bid league, so you know that everything's going to come down to, you know, meeting in Boise in March.
And we were talking about it off air. We've seen it multiple times where the number one seeds do so well during conference play, and then they get to Boise, and there's just something magical about Boise where things crazy happen, and it just comes down to 3 games in that tight time span, and you see someone crown the Big Sky champ.
Back to the action here as that ball did go off of Washington State and out of bounds. And so it'll be Eastern Washington basketball here. 7:44 remaining. Cougs by 16. Their largest lead of the game has been 18. In control here, but Eastern Washington trying to mount a comeback. And it will be an offensive foul and a turnover here on Johnny Radford. Quite a few offensive fouls called here in the second half. On both sides, we saw the one on Jerome Morton in the possession that led to that possession for Eastern Washington.
Yeah, we've seen 3 over the backs for Washington State, and Radford there a little loose with that right arm, getting that chicken wing out and creates separation.
Adria Rodriguez brings it up for the Cougars. Here's Ace Glass, the freshman, thought about the 3, instead feeds it down low. Oh, what a lane that Emmanuel Ugbo just took there. Looked like he was going to go up, and that's what the defenders thought too, and he just found a little bit of extra room on the other side of the rim.
Yeah, Ugbo does a good job. He keeps the ball low there. He does a little quick pro hop, keeps the ball low away from the defense, and that's what creates that separation. But gets caught, and you can see it here. Good job. We haven't seen too much inside play. Low hop, keeps the ball low through the contact. And something that he does really well is uses his offhand extremely well.
Into the corner, Stratton Rogers kicks it back out up top for Moses, and I was wondering, I thought Eastern should be shooting here because the foul was called on Emmanuel Ugbo. Maybe not.
Yeah, a little mishap there. It should be shooting.
And it wasn't an offensive foul on Ugbo.
Yeah,
the foul count was at 7.
Yeah, JoJo Anderson coming off the ball screen. Emmanuel Ugbo kind of hip checked him there. So
what led to the whistle a second ago wasn't a foul called on Washington State, or maybe it was.
Well, and they're trying to get this figured out, though. The play was JoJo Anderson had the ball. They're trying to get Isaiah Moses to the line because he is a 90% free throw shooter. But David Riley and his staff caught it quickly.
David Riley not happy. So recapping the play, there was a foul called on Emmanuel Ugbo. Then Eastern Washington inbounded the ball, and then without something happening, play was stopped because Dan Munson wanted an explanation on why he wasn't shooting. Well, then here comes Isaiah Moses to the line, and Washington State says anybody but him.
Yeah, trying to do a quick move there from Isaiah Moses, but it was JoJo Anderson coming off that ball screen that got the foul.
The foul, meanwhile, on Ugbo, just his first, so no foul trouble there, but it was the 8th on Washington State as a team. So free throws could play a role in this one. David Riley wanting an explanation. Our officials tonight, while we have a moment, Eric Curry, Darren White, and Kirk Smith. Got the entire Cougar coaching staff over there getting an explanation.
I'm not quite sure why these explanations are taking too much time because the play was clear on what happened. I know that there was some play after the foul was called.
After all that, JoJo Anderson is walking to the free throw line for a 1-and-1. And he will earn the back end of the 1-and-1, makes his first.
And you see the smile from JoJo Anderson. They didn't need Isaiah Moses to shoot him. He needs to step up and knock him down like he just did right there.
That gives JoJo 10 points and counting here as he takes his second free throw. That one off the mark, but then a foul called on Kyrie Huey. And that will be the 6th foul on Eastern, so they are also now out of fouls to give.
We talked about it. Both sides have had trouble this year closing games out, and this is the point of the game where, you know, if you're Eastern, you got to battle back in, get this to under single digits, and if you're WSU, you got to run time and get good looks.
Ace Glass not able to connect that time. Ugbo goes up. I think that was blocked by Huey. Great play on the recovery. Here's Anderson looking for space in the defense. In front of the Eastern bench, here's Hamilton with it now. Remember, he's got 3 fouls. Emily Yalaho guarding him there. Spins, and that'll be a foul on Emmanuel Ugbo that will put Hamilton on the line, and the 2nd foul on Ugbo.
Good ball control there from Alton Hamilton. Yalaho's trying to force him baseline, and Ugbo comes as the help side on the low side. But Hamilton able to evade that and get the foul call on Ugbo.
Every free throw from here on out crucial in this one. That one's off the mark, tipped out, and Adria Rodriguez wins the race to it for Washington State. 6.5 minutes to go. Here's Ugbo, drives into the middle, stops, goes up with the left hand, can't get the roll. And Eastern comes away with it. Here's Moses, pass tipped along the way. Anderson handles it and can't knock it down. That's like the 3rd three-pointer we've seen from Eastern that is either rattled or rolled off the rim. Yalaho, pass fake, 3-pointer. Long rebound out to Glass, who takes it to the rack for the layup.
And just so smooth there as Glass does a good job of just staying active on the offensive glass, taking his chances when that ball comes out high on those 3-point misses.
Hamilton thought about the 3. Emmanuel Ugbo, meanwhile, quietly up to 20 points, a season high, and that bucket by Isaiah Moses leads to an Eastern Washington timeout. And it's 70-53 at the stoppage. Gotta say, I think Washington State has done a pretty admirable job on Isaiah Moses. He's got 14 points, but this is a guy who comes in averaging 19, and they've held him to 5 of 11, just 1 of 3 from distance.
And anytime you're a lead scorer, you're averaging 19 points, the defense is going to be focused on you. The game plan is focused on how do we stop Isaiah Moses or contain him. And for the most part, yes, WSU has done a good job of getting the ball out of his hands and trying to make other players score for Eastern Washington. And that's why there is a 17-point lead.
So 5:33. Eastern Washington with 2 timeouts remaining. Washington State with 2 timeouts remaining. As the lead's still 17, as the Cougs try and put this one away, and Eastern just fighting to keep the Cougs within striking range. Glass and Okafor back in after a trip on the bench. Misses that one. Save goes out of bounds off of Eastern Washington, and it'll be Washington State ball. Elijah Thomas coming back out on the floor for Eastern Washington. Cougs got to get the ball in. Here's Rodriguez, crosses over, drives into the middle, and Thomas picks his pocket. Out ahead to Anderson. Doesn't have the numbers. He'll back it back out. Maybe not. Drives baseline. Here's Moses. Anderson in the corner. Back out to Moses. Now to Thomas. 15 on the shot clock. Under 5 minutes to go. Deep 3 from Moses. Off the mark. Rodriguez the rebound.
And that's one of those possessions, about 3 or 4 good looks. They passed up on shot fakes as we see an offensive foul there from Thrasherson. Moses does a good job of sliding his feet. You're still allowed to move and draw the charge. Good job from Isaiah Moses as he gets in front of Thrasherson.
That's a first personal on Thrasherson. It's also now the 10th team foul on Washington State, so Eastern will be in the double bonus next time they get fouled.
But like I was saying on that last possession, they're getting a lot of ball movement, but someone's got to shoot the ball, especially with you're in a 17-point deficit. If you get a decent look, you got to get it up from 3.
Moses to Hamilton, and he wants to be the man to do it. Takes the 3, knocks it down. 13 points all in the second half for Alton Hamilton, the 4th. And now a foul close near that Cougar sideline to a steal for Eastern Washington. Instead, that will be a 1-and-1 situation for Jerome Morton.
Eastern did a good job of getting exactly what you want, a trap near half court in that corner, not allowing the WSU player Morton to move there.
Foul, meanwhile, went against Isaiah Moses, his second. It puts Jerome Morton on the line. It's the first. Two of 2, Morton on that trip, and the lead back out to 16. Washington State, again, like you've pointed out a couple times, Stephen, just anytime Eastern gets a bucket or two, they respond.
I mean, we've been stuck around that 12 to 18-point range as Yalaho gets a foul there. But neither team can move out of that range and finding any kind of consistency to break it.
2 free throws on the way here for Isaiah Moses as Yalaho is whistled for his 3rd personal foul.
But this is exactly what you got to do if you're Eastern. You got to bring the contact to WSU, try to get to the line, have this clock stop, and you got to convert them at the line.
Oh, man, 2 misses from Isaiah Moses tonight. I don't think you'll see that the rest of the season.
It's a very rare sighting. Because usually when you see 90% free throw, you think it's on 10 attempts or even less than that. But this is a guy that's shot in over 30 free throws this season.
Second one on the way is good. Now 31 of 36 to make your point on the season.
Full court pressure here from the Eagles. Got to try to speed up WSU. And if you're WSU, you got to take care of the ball, be sound with your passes.
Not so that time. Eastern Washington a steal. Stratton Rogers drops it off. Hamilton, Elijah Thomas back inside. Kyrie Huey into the corner. 3 on the way is good. Hamilton knocks it down. It's to a 12-point lead for Washington State now. Alton Hamilton, the 4th, with 16 second-half points, and it has Eastern Washington down 12. Washington State needs a timeout to talk it over. This one not done yet here at the 509 Classic. The Eags trying their best to mount a comeback. Back here at the 509 Classic at the Spokane Arena. Great crowd on hand tonight. Whether they're wearing a crimson shade of red or more an eastern shade of red, it's been fun for both these teams. It's been a lot of fun for us tonight. The 509 Classic also wanting us to extend a thank you to their partners, Alliant, Multicare, No Lie, Numerica, and a bit of a self-plug here, Nonstop Local KHQ.
And this is something we're going to see going in the future is this 509 Classic,
Absolutely.
which is something that's super cool because, like we mentioned, the schools are so close. You want to continue to see these games in the Spokane area. It brings out the crowd, the fans, and all the supporters.
Eastern Washington not done yet in this one. A big three a moment ago to bring it down to a 12-point lead. Washington State down to 10 on the shot clock here as they're trying to put this one away. Here's Ace Glass, 5 on the shot clock, pulls up for 3. Off the mark, and a big rebound by guess who? Alton Hamilton, the fourth, who's had a monster second half. JoJo Anderson drives on the inside, goes up and draws the foul, and that will send him to the line for 2 more.
And you put yourself in a difficult situation when you're the Cougars because you don't want to let off the horses too much because then you kind of get unaggressive, where Eastern's putting all the aggressive now, being the more aggressive team. So if you're WSU, you got to take care of the ball, but you still got to take advantage of those opportunities you're getting, and a really good job from the Eagles here the last few possessions. And this game is far from over with this much time left.
The foul, meanwhile, went against Andy Okafor, which is his 4th. Anderson, good on the first. A chance to bring this down to a 10-point margin. And he connects on it. JoJo Anderson with 12 points. .319 still to go, a lot of time. Jerome Morton able to get the inbounds pass and get it across half court for Washington State. Here's Glass with it, the freshman. Inside, Okafor goes up and can't get it to go. And then it's a jump ball. The possession will favor Washington State. Stratton Rogers and Andy Okafor came together all kinds of twisted up, and it's a jump ball for the Cougs.
And it's rare to see Andy Okafor miss one from that close. A good setup of the play there from the Cougs. They find him underneath. Alton Hamilton does a good job of contesting. And there's a lot of contact there from Stratton Rogers over the top, but referees decide to call it a jump ball, and it's going back to the Cougars here.
Referees, quick word maybe to the Cougar bench there, was pretty upset about the call. Exactly 3 minutes remaining. A 10-point game here at the Numerica Veterans Arena in Spokane. The 509 Classic between Washington State and Eastern Washington. It is the Cougars who throw this into the backcourt for Tomas Thrasterson. That's Isaiah Moses all the way out, guarding hard on the perimeter. Now here's Jerome Morton, 10 on the shot clock. Now Vavers down to 5. Thrasterson to Vavers, 4-3. And a foul on the rebound attempt, and that'll go against Washington State. That's Emmanuel Ugbo's 3rd. Oh, excuse me, that foul's on Andy Okafor, and he is fouled out. Andy Okafor has fouled out. 12 points in this one. He will have to watch the remainder of this game from the bench.
Just an unbelievable 30 seconds of defense there from Eastern Washington, denying passes, making it tough for Washington State to get in any operating areas, and then finish with a big box out there from Huey.
Kyrie Huey goes to the line. It has not been a single-digit game since there were more than 12 minutes remaining in the first half. For now, it is still not a single-digit game as Huey's off the mark on the first. The Southpaw's second is good. 73-62, 63. 2:40 to go. Push off there, no call. Across half court with Ugbo. And now here's Ace Glass. Spins. Goes underneath. Thrasterson, a much needed 2.
And I like that aggressiveness there from Ace Glass. You got to be under control, but he did a good job of finding Thrasterson, who also stayed calm.
Snapped a 7-0 run, and then a turnover. And here's Ugbo. Cougs got to get it across. Morton, Ugbo, and they do.
Yeah, that was a tightrope there. 1 second left on the shot clock for potential 10-second backcourt.
Here's Ace Glass again, driving inside. Glass kicks to the corner. 3 from Yalaho. Off the mark. Thrasterson, what a rebound. Goes right back up. The bucket plus the foul. That might have put this one away.
And 2 massive plays from Tomas Thrasterson there. Is able to stay controlled the possession before to get a big 2-point basket. Stays in the activity right here on the offensive glass. Comes up with such a big rebound, but fights through the contact for the 2 with a chance to make it 3.
You talk about how it was somewhat of a quiet offensive night for him, but 4 huge points for the Cougs of his 7 tonight coming in the last minute. Under 2 minutes to go. A 13-point lead now for the Cougars. As here's Moses. Powell for 3. Excuse me, Thomas for 3, and another one rattles out. Morton, Thrasterson, and now the Cougs can take a little bit of time. 90 seconds remaining, the lead 13. Thrasterson drives and will be fouled along the way. That'll put him on the line. And the foul's going to go against Isaiah Moses, which is his 4th.
And you mentioned it. How many times have we seen Eastern Washington have an in and out on the 3-point line? But this last 3 possessions on the offensive end have been all Tomas Thrasterson for the Cougars.
Thrasterson goes to the line. Can't hit on the 1-and-1. Out of bounds, and Eastern basketball. So still not over in this one. 13 points, a lot to make up in 124. Here comes Moses. Crosses over. Tries to get to the block, kicks it out. Anderson, quick trigger 3. Off the rim, rebound by Ugbo, and the Cougars now really in control, but they got to get this one over. Here's Morton, and goes deep, and a time, no, they'll call for the 10-second violation. David Riley shaking his head yes. He knew that his team was not going to be able to get over there. Didn't want to use one of his timeouts, or his only timeout remaining. So it gives it back to Eastern Washington with 1:04.
And it's a fine line to be impatient, but also you have to get the ball across half court there. They're setting up the trap even on a miss.
Moses into the middle, goes up, can't get it to go. Yalaho the rebound. We're under a minute to go, and Washington State is going to win this 509 Classic. As now Eastern bringing the pressure, but the Cougars have done enough early in this one and just enough late with Jerome Morton with 2 more that they are going to pick up a win here. Game, though, got interesting in the second half there, Stephen, for sure.
And it was one of those things we talked about it. We've seen it get to 12, back up to 18, and Eastern Washington just a little too late there. They had an opportunity with 10 minutes left to get down there, put a little bit more pressure on the Cougars, but you got to applaud the Cougars doing a good job of finishing this game. That's something that they've needed to focus on, is finishing games. They've been in a lot of tight battles, but I thought they had a lot of attention to detail on the defensive end, and then offensively, the sharing of the ball was the difference in the game.
78-63 the final. Washington State picks up a win. And an unofficial player of the game, if we had to name one, definitely Emmanuel Ugbo. 20 points, a season high, to go along with 4 rebounds. Really good performances across the board for Washington State, and some good ones as well for Eastern Washington. Isaiah Moses stands out with 15 points, but Alton Hamilton, 16 points, all in the second half. Just a couple that stood out to me, Stephen.
Yeah, Emmanuel Ugbo, definitely player of the game. Coming off the bench in the first half, they elected to start him in the second half. 20 points, 8 of 12, so efficient. But he had battled injury in the last month, but has done such a good job of battling back. And was just definitely the impact player for the Cougars. And as you mentioned on the other side, Eastern Washington, Alden Hamilton, what a heck of a second half he did in being efficient and bringing that scoring that they were looking for in the first half.
So Washington State improves to 4-8. Eastern Washington falls to 2-9. Next up for the Eags, Saturday they'll be in Salt Lake City to take on Utah. Saturday, Washington State will be at home hosting Mercer. That's going to do it for our broadcast tonight. Thanks so much for joining us here on the 509 Classic on SWX. We had a lot of fun and hope you did as well. For my broadcast partner, Stephen Madison, for our entire SWX broadcast crew, I'm Austin Getz saying thanks for joining us. Hope you had fun. We sure did.